Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, this meeting will be conducted via remote means in accordance with applicable law. This means that members of the public body, as well as members of the public, may access this meeting via virtual means. Participants may access the meeting through the remote meeting link as posted on the meeting agenda and through the town's online calendar. When required by law or allowed by the chair, persons wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so by raising their hand or otherwise signaling their intent to speak. This meeting will be recorded. Please take care to mute your microphone unless you have been recognized by the chair. We will now confirm attendance of members. Please respond with present if you are on this call. Matthew Vronka.
Present.
Arnold Cohen.
Present.
Sravan Krishna.
Present.
Khwaja Hassan.
Present.
And then we'll run through these. Stephen Conti. Sudeep Maiti. Jacqueline Crow. Purvi Avlani. I'm Ted Barker Hook, and I'm present. And finally, our principal planner, Aniri Patel.
Present.
Wonderful. We are ready to go on to our agenda. Where's the agenda I printed? It is right here. Our first agenda item is to approve the minutes of February 18th, 2026. Did everyone have a chance to review those and feels comfortable discussing them? You got a hand up right away?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matthew.
They didn't change between meetings, right? The one that we didn't have now, just so I didn't compare them.
It's the same, yeah.
Okay.
Because last we met on February 18th, so. Yeah.
Okay.
Does anybody have any corrections or clarifications they'd like to make? That looks like a no. So I would love a motion and then a second to approve the minutes of February 18th, 2026.
So moved.
I'll second it.
That's great. Here comes our roll call vote. Matthew Vronka.
Yes.
Arnold Cohen.
Yes.
Sravan Krishna.
Yes.
Khwaja Hassan.
Yes.
And Ted Barker Hook is a yes. That is a unanimous 5-0 vote. Look at the efficiency of this meeting, huh? Okay. Next up on the agenda is a discussion about the ADUs. Hopefully everyone had a chance to look at the proposed revisions that Aniri typed up for us. In the interest of continued efficiency, I'm hoping that we don't need Aniri to kind of give us a summary of those. Was everyone cool and understanding with what she typed? Okay, so with that, why don't we, I have a couple items that I didn't see in here, but let's put that off for now. And let's see if people have feedback on what you see typed. The newest information, if you have it in color, is that which is in red. So I'm looking to the committee members if you have any comments or feedback on the material in red.
Yes, I have a comment.
Go ahead, Arnold.
Okay, so on the item G, it says that the planning board can grant a special permit. At the last meeting, and it was an issue I raised, and I thought it was agreed upon that it would be the Board of Appeals that would do the special permit. I don't know if there's any particular reason now why it says planning board, but I don't know if that was inadvertent, but it seems to me that, we hear those now, and it's a zoning article, and we're a zoning Board of Appeals, so And I think I thought it was that's the way it was going to be.
I remember that conversation, and I'm curious, Aneri, did you have conversations in town hall about whether ZBA or the planning board fit precedent here in Hopkinton?
So the currently, I take a look into our current bylaws and how CBA and planning board performing the special permit. So basically, like you go to zoning board for special permit when you need, like, if there is some kind of use but it's not allowing, and then you want that, that's why you go to zoning board. But if you need like special permit, for example, if, like, I'm just going to take a random example, if it's historical structure, you need a special permit, you go to planning board, and planning board do review in the depth compared to zoning board when it comes to special permit. And when I took a look, and I also discussed with John on this matter, and he also suggests like planning board is the better option if you want to allow larger ADUs and let applicant apply for a special permit.
And just for clarity, especially because we're being recorded, that's John Gelsich you spoke with, right?
Yes, John
Right.
Gelsich. I had a discussion a little bit about this with him. And when I look at other bylaws and how in the past it used to allow, a lot of the time planning board is the one who make a call for in that matter.
I again, Arnold, I remember this discussion, and respectfully, you and I were on different sides of the discussion. And so I was also interested to see, and I assumed, Aneri, that you had had some conversations. When we were discussing this before, I didn't do a lot of homework into looking at different granting of variances, granting of special permits, but my gut told me that our planning board does a lot of special permits, and the planning board, my initial feeling was, felt right to me. I'm curious, Khwaja and Matthew, if you have thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that stands out to me is that in 126.2 duplexes, it seems analogous in a lot of ways, and that goes through the Board of Appeals as well. And I don't know if based on what Aneri and the town's discussion had been in the professional side, whether it makes sense to move that to the planning board as well. It seems weird to split these between the Board of Appeals and planning board.
Is there, I'm not looking at those laws, Matthew, I'm sorry, what was it that goes to ZBA?
Duplexes, so
Okay.
126.2.
Is that listed as a special permit, or is it listed as a different?
They are special permits.
Okay.
There's several different things there, and I believe they're all special permits.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not convinced but again, I'm an attorney and I'm a member of the Board of Appeals. I mean, we've heard these. We've had several meetings in the past where people have come under the existing law looking for on these ADUs, and we've been the body that heard it. And I'm familiar with the statutes. And I used to be on a planning board in the town I used to live in. So special permits under a zoning law is something that the Board of Appeals hears. It's a zoning law. It's not a, he just said, it's splitting it up between two different boards. And just in a general principle, based on my experience in dealing with other towns or whatever, I don't think it makes sense to have one body doing special permits and another one doing them. This is statute and the zoning bylaw on special permits, same chapter that talks about variances, and it's a Board of Appeals that does it. That's the way it is, and I don't understand why the logic of having it's not something it's going to cause chaos or something, or have awful consequences. But I just don't think it's the right way to do it. And as a lawyer, and and knowledge of the zoning law, I've tried cases, under the zoning laws, and had cases involving special permits, and I don't understand why it would be somebody else by the other board that would do it, when it's naturally the kind of thing that should be by the Board of Appeals.
I'm curious. As I probably have said 100 times, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a high school history and economics teacher. When you say it's in the statute, is that in the general law, the Commonwealth laws, or are you saying that in the Hopkinton bylaws?
Oh, in the I don't know, is it chapter, the zoning statute it's either chapter 40 or 40A, I don't.
For the state?
The state statute, Mass General Laws.
Right. Okay.
Mass General Laws has a zoning statute, and they have a section that talks about special permits, and a section about variances, and section about appeals, and a few other sections. It's a separate statute in the Massachusetts General Laws. It's special.
I also hear Matthew saying that it seems somewhat inconsistent if we have one. My feeling is, for other reasons, we're not going to vote on pushing this to the planning board or not today anyway. So I wonder if, Aneri, you could continue the conversation with John, and maybe, Arnold, maybe you'd like to reach out to John Gelsich and hear what his thinking is, and offer your thinking. He might really appreciate it. I'm certainly not the one who can vet that. I have no legal training, and I haven't looked at the Mass General Laws. So go ahead, Aneri.
Yes, just to point on Arnold thoughts. So I did double check with Mass General Law. It's of Chapter 40A, and it's stating that usually it's zoning board or planning board, but that's up to the town. So it's like towns call how they want to, but usually, like for larger ADUs, zoning or planning based upon the specific town laws. What other option we can do? I can discuss if we decide to move further with John, and as well as if we need help from town council to see which option is a better option for town. If we go through planning board or zoning board, that is also, we can take a look. My first thought personally was like planning board. If we are going and allowing larger ADUs, but if everybody, and we can take a look with the planning board thoughts on this as well. And if they think zoning board should do it, we can go in that direction as well. But I agree that we should keep one board zoning, then zoning gonna do special permit, or else planning board, rather than confusing applicant.
Yeah, it might be worth, given what Matthew has found, it might be worth a bigger conversation as well that kind of bring everything into line. So
I just show an observation?
Yeah, I was about to say, I didn't ask Ravan or Khwaja for your input.
Well, I mean, I'm so far away from lawyer or law anything, so I'm not gonna say anything about the law. But the thing is, what I just found it interesting that it goes to the Board of Appeals for. I mean, that doesn't sound like the right way to go, but what do I know? That was just an observation. So,
Ravan, do you have any thoughts? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Hi, sorry. Were you asking me?
I'm asking you if you have any thoughts on whether special permit in this case should be granted by ZBA or the planning board.
Sorry, I'm not a lawyer either. I'm a technical guy, so I wouldn't have a opinion.
Okay. All right. So why don't we table that?
So can I just say so? We've been hearing them.
Go ahead.
We've been hearing them. I don't know. Seems like under the present bylaw that it goes to us. So I don't know whether this is changing it or what. But again, it's sort of a matter of principle. I don't have a real desire to be, I'm not going to make any money by hearing these things or anything like that, get any advantage. But it just seems to me that just my idea of what makes sense.
Well, I am not suggesting one way or the other we ought to make a decision. And for me, for a number of years, I've really relied on John Gelsich's advice, but I don't think it means we have to close the door based on, especially based on some discomfort I'm feeling in this group. So we can continue to look at it, and Aneri can revisit with John maybe. I saw your hand pop up, Aneri.
Yeah, so just to point out, yes, currently it goes to zoning board, board of appeal for larger review, like we had, and we discussed one topic, but that went through as a variance, not as a special permit, if I'm not wrong, for a bigger ADU than what we have, because since we only allowing 900 square feet based on what we approved last year. So that for variance, yes, that needs to go through Board of Appeal. And it also mentioned in our current one that for any reasons, they need special permit from Board of Appeal. I just wanted to point that out.
Okay. All right. And I'm in a crazy busy part of the school year, but I've enjoyed from time to time having lunch with John Gelsich, and I'm happy to have lunch with John and Aneri when I have a little free time. But in the meantime, Arnold, if you'd like to, book a meeting ahead of time with Aneri and John, and you guys can chat some things out, and maybe the three of you can come closer to a mutual understanding.
I will try to reach John and Aneri and look into it a little bit more, but
so we'll table that so that we can kind of get that figured out. And if there are other bylaws where we seem to be not consistent in which board to go to, that can be a new future agenda item as well. Is there anything else in red ink that people would like to address? It does have the numbers I remember us getting to, which is ADU does not exceed 75% of gross floor area and does not exceed 1,200 square feet. That's what I remember our group landing on for a let's see how that feels kind of discussion. And then the rest of it, I mean, that's really the heart of the change right now. And then the second part is, and if you want to do that, who do you go see? So I jotted down, I'm the teacher. I jotted down 3 questions, observations. Number one, we still don't have language addressing short-term rentals, about whether an ADU can or should or may be allowed to be essentially an Airbnb. And I think our feeling as a group was we kind of don't think that's the purpose of ADUs, and we'd like to see some language for that. As I mentioned, I'm in a busy part of my teaching year. But in the 15 minutes I had before this meeting, I tried to really quickly pull up the Southborough ADU bylaw, because according to my notes from a few months ago, they do have that language, but I couldn't find it. So I couldn't find a model of that language. But maybe that's something Aneri or I or someone can do before we get together again. But do we feel, the 5 of us, and again, we don't get to make the bylaw. What we get to do is forward to the planning board what we think is a good idea. The planning board can then discuss it, and then ultimately it's got to be a town meeting vote. So knowing that it's very low stakes, do the 4 of you feel that we ought to have language that say these are not meant to be short-term rentals, Airbnb type things? And I see your hand, Aneri. Let me just see what they have to say. There's a thumbs up from Sravan. And you can use the little thumbs up, or you can just say, yeah, these are good. Okay. Aneri, did you have a thought on that language? It looked like you were kind of...
Yes. So I remember we discussed about short-term rental, and the only reason I did not add here because I was not sure like how we want to add. Like, do we want to specify that it cannot be like less than 30 days? Because like when I prepare a memo and I looked into a couple of other towns like Wayland, where I used to work, and Westboro and Framingham, they clearly state that you cannot do short-term rental. And like just for example, Wayland, they mention it that 30 days like minute limit basically.
Okay.
You have to have, and you cannot rent on as Airbnb website or Vrbo.
Did 30
ADU.
seem to be consistent in the towns you looked at, or were some more like 60 or 90?
Some of them specifying the days, some of them just clearly stating that it cannot be a short-term rental. But again, as per our state bylaw, we cannot say who can they rent, or we don't require like details of it.
Okay.
But we just need to make sure that they are not doing short-term rentals, basically.
What's the
Right.
definition of short term? 30 days, 15 days, 60 days? What is short term?
Is there a state definition of that?
Let me check. I don't think so. I don't think so. Let me pull it up.
Okay. So while we wait for that for a second, or a couple minutes, whatever it takes in Harry, do you guys have thoughts on if we're allowed to pick a number for could not be less than these many days? What pops into your head?
Well, I think it makes sense to maybe see if there's other bylaws. You know, if we were just going to pick a number, it might be kind of arbitrary, you know.
Oh,
But
okay, I think Aniri's got something. So hang on just a second.
Sorry. As per the Mass General Law, 31 days consecutive calendar days or less. That's the short-term rental. They
So
count
if
as.
we simply had short-term rental, then it's understood to be 31 days or fewer.
That is correct.
Okay. But did some towns make it more than that when you looked around? And the state
No.
didn't challenge it?
No, usually they typically define 31 days,
Okay,
and some of them just defined as short-term rental.
right. And you said some of them said, and it cannot be listed on Airbnb or Vrbo.
Yes, some of them mention like you cannot list as Airbnb, not
Okay.
mentioning Vrbo. Vrbo is like one of the site, but
And so presumably that hasn't been challenged and the state allows that kind of language to stand.
yeah.
Okay.
So basically, state are okay you saying short-term rental are not allowed, but I think they're gonna challenge you if you specify that you need some other requirements like asking who they are renting and all
Sure.
that personal stuff,
Right.
personal
Right,
stuff.
right, right.
So that happened.
And I don't think any of us were proposing any other type of
Yeah.
restriction. Right. Are you guys, is everyone comfortable then using the state's definition? And we could type it in, the actual number for clarity if we wanted to. But does that feel about right, a month? I don't think too
Yeah.
many people vacationing rent a place for a month, at least not in a place like Hopkinton. They might on the Cape, they might in Brewster rent it for 2-3 months.
I don't know. Sandy Beach is a very popular destination.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, if it were an ADU, I imagine someone, if they could find space on those little lot sizes around Maspinock, could rent one for the summer, but I think there'd be a lot of hurdles to jump, given the size of the lots on Maspinock. All right, so then it sounds like we're in agreement, Aniri, that if we could include some language and that 31 days feels about right.
I think I missed it, but in the memo, it does the some town restrict short-term rentals, typically defined as stays under 31 days.
Okay,
I
yeah.
don't know how I missed that, but it is already there. So sorry.
When I was looking, trying to find what Southborough had to say, I did come across one little thing that said it was kind of like a news release. It wasn't quite the Southborough Independent newspaper or whatever they have, but it was kind of a press release. And it said their new ADU bylaw has been accepted by the state, except it said the state was still considering in Southborough, they talked about language that indicated a mobile home cannot serve as an ADU. That struck me as, first of all, interesting that the state had to think about it. But again, I didn't read any legal stuff. I just happened to see this little press release. And it's something I had never considered. When I think about the parts of me that were resistant to ADUs in the past, part of that was maintaining the feel of neighborhoods for the way that people who had bought homes were moving in. And so while I've shifted a bit in my own thinking about ADUs, and of course the state has forced me to allow it to be more permissible, but my thinking has shifted too. It strikes me that a mobile home thrown into someone's yard might not be the kind of thing any of us have in mind in approving ADUs. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on that. And we don't know why the state hesitated on the Southborough law, and maybe they've now approved it. I just came across that one little thing, and it made me go, huh, I never thought about that. I'll bring that up at the meeting. So I'm wondering if you guys have thoughts about that.
Sorry, so Southborough wanted to include mobile homes, or they wanted to exclude them in the states?
Language, as near as I can tell, they wanted language that said mobile homes do not count as ADUs. You may not drop a mobile home in your yard and say, oh, it's my ADU.
And the state said they can't exclude that.
What the little release I read said, the entire bylaw has been passed, but the mobile home part is still under consideration, or something like that. It didn't say that part got rejected, and I certainly don't know any of the reason why there was hesitation. But just the idea of a mobile home as an ADU had not occurred to me. And I am picturing probably the worst case scenario of mobile homes being dropped in a yard in Hopkinton. And maybe I should be more open-minded. But what I have in my head, I don't think is what any of us think is what we want for our neighborhoods, even if we are in favor of mobile homes to achieve more affordable, accessible, attainable housing. So do you guys have thoughts whether we should pursue that angle the way Southborough did? Which is not saying write it in, take it to town meeting, just as we think about what we might pass to the planning board.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. You can call me Ted. That's okay, Arnie.
Okay. So it just sees to me to have a mobile home, like that somebody's going to live in. It's not the idea I have of an ADU. It implies to me that it's like it's a building, it's a structure, not a mobile home. Whether we need to put language in it that addresses that, maybe, or whether that's a good idea, that may be the case. I don't know. I'd like to know if the state somehow took a position that said the bylaw can't have that kind of a provision. I'm not. I
don't know if the final decision was rendered. Like I said, I put in 15 minutes of prep, so I'm coming with not very much information, but the idea interested me. I agree with you. I'd like to know more about it.
It should be a structure, and I don't think a mobile home is a structure, but
it strikes me that if we as a group are thinking that whatever we choose or don't choose to pass along to the planning board ought to have limitations on mobile homes, it would be that kind of language. A permanent structure would be in the language. We certainly can't say an ugly thing with wheels, right? I mean, we'd have to have language that indicates what we're talking about.
Yeah, whatever Southborough was trying to do was, I mean, sounded reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes more sense.
Is anyone against the idea of thinking about language that would prevent a mobile home being labeled an ADU? That looks like a no, but it looks like you're studying, Matthew. Are you reading something? Did you find the Southborough language?
No, I mean, it looks like California wants to make them supported throughout the state as ADUs. That's what I found.
Oh, California likes the idea of mobile homes as ADUs?
Yeah.
Well, those guys are crazy. I heard on Fox News that's a failing state.
They probably cause cancer too. So
is that a hand, Aniri?
Yeah, just to point out, California do have some other different kind of ADU, not just the mobile homes, and they are allowing their like different terminology. I mean, they call that it's like mini ADU, and there are a couple of other ADU terms which they use in California and allow that. But I just checked the Mass General Law. It's not allowed by right as mobile home as an ADU. But if you are manufacturing from the ground and building some kind of structure and following the building code, then you might consider, but not the actual mobile home as an ADU. You need to have utilities, plug there, and all the facilities and everything. So basically, it's like a structure.
The state has already said a mobile home is not a by right ADU.
Yeah, it's mentioned on their MGL.
Okay. So then if we did want language, it would be redundant, right? But I don't know. I'm still not a lawyer. I don't know if redundancy is always wrong. It might be worth being redundant. I don't know. Did your hand pop up, Arnold?
Well, yeah, I was just listening to it. And Erie said she found something that in the statute or regulations that a mobile home, as it might be redundant. There's already something in there that says you can't do it. I guess I was just going to say, could you have a lot of land, buy a piece of land, and then just put a mobile home on it, and just, you know, theoretically, if it could be an ADU, it could be just your main home, you know. And I haven't heard of that, you know, and so if it's redundant, if there's some kind of it's already covered, then maybe it wouldn't be that, you know, really wouldn't be necessary.
Aneri, do you have thoughts on redundancy in this way? Do you think that it would be a problem to be explicit in our bylaws to emphasize what the state said?
Honestly, I don't know, because all the bylaws I looked, even when I looked Southborough, I just scanned the bylaw. I did not read. So maybe I missed that mobile home part.
Mhm.
But the other bylaws I looked, I did not catch anything like the language mentioning on their bylaws. But
Okay.
if town decide to do that, then it's not like we are allowing flexibility of adding mobile homes as an ADU. We just making sure that people don't take in a wrong way. But it's already mentioned in the state bylaw, so developer knows that they anyway need to follow the state one as well. So
I guess, and I am not arguing that we do put it in. I'm just thinking out loud, and I don't know what happened with Southborough. I guess my little bit of worry is a homeowner says ADUs under this size, and certainly any RV I can think of is under 900 square feet or 1,200 square feet, will say, well, ADUs are allowed by right. I can do it really easily. Boom, there it is. Even though it's forbidden according to the state, they may not ask the state. They may say ADUs, here it is. And then it would require neighbors to complain and hearings. And so I don't know. I am thinking out loud why redundancy might be good. I am thinking out loud why, or I'm asking why it might be problematic. I'm looking at this, and Neri, I don't know if that's a hand about to go up again.
So no, I mean, if I'm not wrong, it also mattered. The zoning also matter in this sense, like because not all the zoning allow mobile homes or something like this. You need to check the use as well. So if it's like residential, and you need certain space, and again, like building code and all that stuff. So, but there are towns. I mean, I was just looking if I can find any example of any towns mentioning like prohibition or anything that you can do mobile homes. So not just Southborough, but there is Milford. Looks like they mention in there. I can dig into this specific. I don't think so. I looked into Milford bylaw. Yeah, no. ADU one. So, but I mean, if town decide, we can add the language. It's just ADU. But the purpose of ADU is to allow developer, and town can be little flexible in terms of ADU. But we can take a look.
Arnie? Or is that a stale hand?
Yeah, no, I was on mute. A lot of the zoning laws just reflect almost word for word the statute. So, you know, it wouldn't hurt, you know, if the statute says it, to just put the same language in the bylaw that just maybe a little bit.
So our town bylaws have redundancy with state laws all over the place, you're saying? Right. Yeah. All right. So maybe that gives you a little bit more homework, Neri. And then my last bullet, unless there's anything else about RVs, or not RVs, but mobile homes. And I don't think there is. My last bullet was, and admittedly, I did not go back very carefully through what you gave us, Neri. I was only looking at the red. Do we have language about more than one ADU per property?
Yes, there is a language. Hold on. It says like the special permit, any special permit from planning, like right now it's in the red, says a special permit from planning board shall be required for any ADU that exceed the by right size limit. Before that, it was saying a special permit shall be required for use of a land and structure in a single family residential district for more than one ADU on a lot. Bullet number I.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, so I rewrite that sentence because we were adding planning.
So what this suggests then is you could have more than one ADU by special permit.
Yeah.
And does the state say that needs to be allowed right now?
So in the state bylaw, it says that if you already have one ADU and you need one more ADU, you need special permit.
Okay.
Usually in that case, that goes to zoning board of appeal. And currently, as per the current bylaw, it goes to ZBA. But if
so here again might be our inconsistency with which board you go to.
Yes. So that's why currently I change and add a planning board and highlighted that sentence, but that is for that it allows you more than one ADU, but by special permit.
So, I see unless that's a stale hand, Arnold, I see your hand again. My question for my four committee members is, do we want to allow the possibility of a second or a third ADU by special permit, whether being reviewed by planning board or ZBA? Do we like that language? Sorry, Neri, do we have to have that language?
Yes, because
Oh, we do.
it's in the state, in the Mass General Law. So it clearly says like
So
if
the
they
state
already
says we
have.
have to allow people to be able
Yeah.
to apply. Okay, great. Then we don't need to discuss that.
Yeah, because in the past, a lot of town used to do ADU by special permit. So there are properties with current ADUs already, and if
Yeah.
the property size is bigger, they might want to do a second ADU. But for that second ADU, they need special permit.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So that we have to leave that language alone. Okay. Those were my questions about our draft bylaw to be voted on to see if we want to pass it along to the planning board. I want to just keep emphasizing how early in the stage, how early in the process this stage is. Aniri, go ahead.
I also got one little suggestion from our DPW director on bullet point number E. Dispose. Yeah, on the first
Disposable of sewage?
Yes. So she just requested if whenever we decide to modify the ADU bylaw, just to add the line. It says like adequate provision shall be made for disposal of sewage waste and drainage generated by occupancy of such ADU in accordance with the requirement of Board of Health and or Department of Public Works. That's the little line she wanted us to add in an ADU bylaw because some of the stuff reviewed and issued by DPW.
That sounds like it makes complete sense to me, and I hadn't considered it. Anyone have any pushback on that kind of language? Okay. All right. Does anyone have
one thing before we move
Yeah,
through?
that's what I was going to say. Anything else about this?
Yeah, so when we were talking about mobile homes, were we talking about manufactured in general, or like what? I'm trying to understand like what scope we're talking about, because I see a line on manufactured homes not to extend. We can have a bylaw for manufactured homes not to extend 12 months on lot in case of fire. I was trying to find what specifically an area had found.
In a manufactured home, that's a term they use for a mobile home.
So when I was trying to clarify the differences on what constitutes what, apparently federally HUD has grouped everything under manufactured homes. What I was finding, I mean, this is scanning as we're talking, so it's not an in-depth search.
Yeah.
So mobile home is a manufactured home? It's considered manufactured home?
That's what Bob Villa is telling me right now. I don't know. Links to
I remember once in my life as a teenager, a guy had a home, the way I would think of a home, with a foundation and everything, but it was trucked in 4 pre-made parts.
Right, and
like that to me also fits manufactured home, but that sounds like a house the way I think of it. So I'm just curious about what that term means and what it extends to.
So in what I found, it states that standard mobile home on wheels that cannot be counted as an ADU. But if it's a manufactured home and have like foundation and everything, that can be counted as an ADU. Yeah. But again, if you call that as a manufacturer, it's just a structure with a foundation and it's a house.
Right. Okay.
You're not gonna call that as a...
For what we're talking about, that feels appropriate. That if you buy a house, but put it on a foundation that you have built in your yard, that feels pretty permanent.
Yeah.
And it's connected to all the utilities, et cetera.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could have a cabin too, but meets sanitary code.
But it is interesting what you say if there's a fire where you can live, but that wouldn't be an ADU anyway. That would be something else. That would be temporary housing. And I'm sure there's some other discussion about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there anything else on this before Aniri takes it back and kicks around some other ideas, and maybe Arnold and Aniri and John have a chat? Anything else? Okay. Okay. I thought about whether I wanted to say something else about it, but I don't think I did. I think that means if we feel good about it, we can go on to our last agenda item, which is discussion on Starter Homes Program, Chapter 41. And what I'd really like to do is ask Aneri to introduce us to what all of this is. And then that would give us grounds for an initial chat to try to understand what it is.
Yeah. So let me brief out about Chapter 40Y Starter Home Programs. I had a little discussion on this with other town planners and the housing authority. And recently, our building commissioner, me and John Gelsage, we had a little discussion since building commissioner also had little talk about 40Y in their building individual meetings. So basically, this is not like a mandatory bylaw, or you can say it's not like every town needs to adopt this, like how we did for MBT or ADU. This is like volunteer program. If cities and towns are interested, they can adopt and implement this 40Y by right development. So basically, it's like for a smaller single family, suitable for first-time home buyer and downsizing, the smaller households and people for like who looking for affordable housing basically. And this enacted in 2022 through economic growth and relief for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And that's at that time this 40Y bylaw started. And recently, I think starting of this year, maybe in March or yeah, somewhere around that time, they finalized the regulations of 40Y. I shared with everybody. It's you cannot see, but it's in the email starter home zoning bylaw basically. So usually you can do anywhere in the residential area. Any like development can be possible in any residential zoning like we have right now. RB, RA, you can do there. This is basically to increase the supply and reduce the cost of the new single family homes, and also offering some financial incentives for municipality if town or cities are interested to do this on the smaller lot. And the basic requirements of this it's like must allow starter homes, single family home with no more than 1,850 square feet of heated living area, and it's going to be allowed by right just like ADU, and may also allow limited non-residential use if approved by HLC. And yeah, allowed by right 4 units per acre of the developable land. So that is one of the requirement. And 10% of starter homes in the project containing 13 and more starter homes are income restricted if any developer decide to do that, and affordable to the household earnings no more than 1/10% of area median income, and must require 50% of starter home in under this bylaw starter home zoning district contains 3 and more bedroom. So this is little brief. Let me give you, if I can find the incentives you get. Just a second.
And while you're looking, maybe you can answer this question, Aneri. Did you say, because I'm looking for this part, I have some underlines, some of the other things you said.
Yeah.
Did you say no more than 1,500 square feet? And if so, where is that in what you sent us?
So no more than 1,850 square feet.
Oh,
So
1,850, but
yeah,
okay.
1850. So it is on if you're looking at the starter home zoning district bylaw, it's second bullet point, purpose, program, and overview. So you can see in the
It's
second
not in the
bullet point.
requirements, it's somewhere else.
So it's on the are you looking at the regulations, the zoning district regulations?
Hang on just a sec.
It's on the first page.
Oh, the overview, there it is, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is right there, okay, thank you.
Yeah, so for incentive and that stuff, Okay. So to get eligible, once you pass the bylaw, you need, not the pass the bylaw, you need to submit the eligibility applications, including the purpose of zoning to EOHLC with the preliminary approval prior to the local legislation action. You adopt the zoning, and after it's got approved, you're gonna receive conditional or final approval, just like how we did for ADU and MBTA zoning bylaw. And once it's approved, you get the incentives based upon there are a couple of options. So one is like one-time payment of $10,000 to $600K based on the number of additional as of right units allowed by the new zoning. And other option is density bonus payment. It's like $3,000 per new unit when the construction begins, and any applicable affordability requirement are recorded on the homes that were not previously allowed by right. So those two are the incentives, and this is basically to expand the single family housing opportunities.
Right. So those dollar figures, I think I missed it. Is that money the state will pay the town? Is that money the state will assist the developer?
So basically state going to pay the town.
With those dollar figures?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Do
Yep.
you know, are there
And it
towns
says
nearby us that have
these
established
incentives
starter
can be
home
generally
districts?
be put towards a wide. Not yet, but there are talk going on in surrounding towns who are interested to take a look in upcoming months, or maybe you can say next year or so. But there are a couple of towns who did adopt it. I forgot the name of the town, but yeah, this is the new bylaw, and it's a little different than ADU. ADU gonna limit you 900 square feet. This is going to be bigger than that, and
About twice the size, yeah.
yeah. So, and it's going to allow on the single family resident. It's not a mandatory one, so it's
Right.
up to the town.
And it sounds like town budget wise, the dollar figures that would be awarded are pretty small.
Yeah.
Which is not me saying this is a bad idea. I'm just trying to wrap my head around the different aspects of it.
Yeah. And I did my little review. I still need some answers from Housing Authority on the incentives and finance. This is like, the new concept, and I thought bring this idea to Zach first as a part of the process. And once we start digging, we can go further and take a look how we want. If we want, then
Right.
discuss this with other boards.
Definitionally, a single family home means a separate structure. The word home, I just want to, it's not single family dwellings. It's a single family separate structure.
Yes.
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 So then I'm trying to picture, but I'm not good at these things. My house, when I moved into it, I always have to ask my wife to remind me, but I think was 1,200 square feet. I think. It's a little bigger now. I'm trying to picture 4 houses the size of mine. And for those who don't know where I live, I'm one of the little colonial houses on Grove Street as you drive from downtown up to the water towers. So mine is kind of a typical structure for those homes. I'm trying to picture 4 of those fit within an acre. And that seems super tight to me. Sure, go ahead.
So it's not going to be like ADU, but it's more going to be like MBTA kind of zoning district. Like if it's undeveloped land, vacant land, so developer can do like 4 units per acre, and you can count based upon that under this starter home, and it's going to be allowed by that. So basically,
Right, no, I understand that. It's not building an extra house on a home. It's right, I understand that. I'm just trying to picture what that looks like. If we had a zone, even if it was a zone where there was nothing, let's say we wanted this to happen. And let's say there's a golf course that's going out of business, and we're ready to say that that golf course is now going to be our starter home zone. I'm just trying to picture what 4 houses the size of mine on an acre looks like. And it just strikes me as very, very tight. But is that those who understand acres better is, I think once upon a time when I was a kid, I lived on an acre and a half. So I think I have a sense what that lot size is.
But that's how Lexington, Waltham, all those towns are, right? They have very small lots and even bigger houses.
Yep, maybe. I don't know. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
It would be houses with not much yard, I
Yes.
think would be true.
Right.
Yeah, Ted,
Yep.
that's quarter acre lots. That's not unusual. I mean, it's a lot of places have that. I grew up in a 5,000 square house on a 5,000 square foot lot. I remember we used to go out and play in the backyard and everything. And now I go by it now, and it seems tiny, but that's loads of places have 10,000 square houses on 10,000 square foot lots. Not that.
Yeah. And when
not
you say it that
tiny,
way, I should have done that math in my head. I'm pretty sure my lot is less than a quarter acre. So, and I have a little backyard. It's kind of nice out there. So maybe you're right.
An
I
acre's
should
a
have
little
thought of
over-
it that way.
A little over 40,000 square feet.
Those numbers just go over. I can't picture 40,000 square feet. I don't know what that means. That's why.
That's an acre, right? 45, isn't it? 45?
Right. For me, we're just going in circles, throwing out numbers that I can't picture. I can picture a baseball infield. I have no idea how many square feet that is. So anyway, yeah, no, maybe there's a little more space for homes there than I thought.
You're not a math teacher, huh, Ted?
I can do the math. I can't picture what a lot size looks like. I can do the math. Anyway, now that I think about my own home, yeah, I could see how a house my size, my wife just passed me a note that said we have 0.16 acre our lot. So we do have a little yard, and you could fit 4 houses like mine on an acre. That makes sense.
It's less than a fifth of an acre. Point.
Yes,
Well,
it's
anyway.
less than a fifth because I can, just to tease you, I can do math. 0.2 of an acre is a fifth of an acre.
Up on the streets up near the, I forget what they call them, but up near the town beach there and the lake there, they lots
Maspinock.
really tiny up there.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
way less than a quarter of an acre.
8,100. That's the baseball in feet square feet. I'm an
Thank
engineer,
you.
so numbers.
Okay. So I don't have strong feelings one way or the other. There's a lot of processing here. My thought generally is I would like to find ways that we could make our town more accessible to young families on limited incomes. That's a goal that I would like to achieve. If we loved this idea, and right now I don't love it, I don't know enough about it, I haven't thought enough about it. If we loved this idea, a real puzzle would be, where do we find the overlay for our starter home place? Where do we decide in town that this is where we want to name it? And if we did that, then the planning board would have to kick it around, and they would have to think what's going to get passed at town meeting. None of which is saying that we ought to stop talking about it. I'm just kind of thinking big picture. I would love to find ways to make our town accessible to people like me. When I was brand new at my job, I could not afford to move to Hopkinton if I were the 27-year-old me with the job I had. Is this a viable plan for us to consider? Do you have early thoughts on it?
I'll start. Oh, so
Go ahead.
I'll let someone else start.
Sorry.
No, somebody else has something to say.
I think it's a little bit complicated. I think there needs to be some sort of financial modeling to be done for what it means for the town, from town resource consumption perspective. I think it's a little bit more complex, right, than good intentions.
Okay. Go ahead,
So
man.
Ted, I'm kind of with you on this one right here. I think it's good for us to do an exercise of where might it actually work. I think there's benefits. Obviously, the state passed it. I don't think the financial benefits actually are going to be meaningful to the town. We've heard at town meeting that people would like to be able to let our teachers live here, our policemen, our kids, and all those sorts of things. But we've also heard that we don't want to encourage more compact housing. And so I don't foresee something being passed in the short term, but I think it's worth kind of thinking about, hey, if this were something that we wanted to support and see if people eventually kind of had support for it, like where might it go in the picture? And I think that's one of the purposes of the planning board and Zach is to think, hey, where might this fit in if the town thought it was useful?
Yeah. Watch, any of your thoughts, Arnold?
No, I really haven't thought about it that much. First time I've heard about that law. Seems to me it might be. I don't know how the town would feel about it, the voters, or whether I just really. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other at this point.
Watch it. It is
Yeah.
brand new to all of us. I'm not expecting any of us to have firm opinions. I certainly don't yet.
Right. Same here. I mean, I'm not. I mean, moving in either direction. But and how is it? How is it complement or like distract the affordable housing philosophy for building purposes, stuff like that? That I don't know. I mean, as Shravan said, I mean, we actually do need to do some kind of mathematical or like economic modeling or feasibility. But Hopkinton is becoming unaffordable. I mean, taxes.
For some, it became unaffordable a long time ago.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
becoming.
It is already yeah.
It works for some people.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a fresh hand, Shravan?
Yeah, and because I agree with you. And as a consequence of this, is it going to be unaffordable for somebody else, right? Those are the economic modeling questions.
What I think we know is based on realtors we've had come visit us in Zach is generally developers are not interested in building houses of this size with lots this size because they don't see it as economically feasible. I think when Chuck Joseph has talked to us in Zach, that kind of has been his message when I've said, what can we do to encourage smaller houses and have realtors sell 10 $400,000 houses instead of $2 million houses or something. I'm not sure if I did my math right there.
Yeah.
And Chuck essentially says it doesn't work that way. The cost of building the 10 $400,000 houses is so much greater than $2 million houses that it just doesn't work. And so I saw you in Erie. I'll come to you in just a moment, I promise. And so even if we found a place for this, I don't know that developers would say, "Oh, I'm jumping on that opportunity," but maybe they would. Aneri?
I forgot what I was going to say. But I just wanted to point it out. This is pretty kind of there was a talk going on for this bylaw, and there was a comment period till last July and something. So like the regulation just adopted this March this year. So as I said, there are towns who are in a discussion that if they want to adopt, if I'm not wrong, there are not any towns who started the process, but just like how we are discussing, there are talk going on in different towns if they want to do it or not. We're gonna get more guidance from state, from housing authority on this. Once we start the process, or even they're going to provide guidance on how it's going to affect, what are the rules and regulations town needs to follow if they decide to go. I will let board knows once I find out something, but this is, I believe it's a good concept if we talk about smaller housing and allowing affordable options. We are meeting 10%, so that is not an issue for us, but this is something like good opportunity.
Yeah, I absolutely think it's worth thinking about and talking about.
Yeah.
The sense I have from those in the room with us is all of us would like to find ways to make our town a place where lower income folks can move in. Whether this is the answer or not, I don't know, but I like talking about it. I like kicking the idea around. Matthew?
So according to ArcGIS, if you look at the properties that we built that bridge for the MBTA, they're about 0.9 to 0.11 of an acre. So two of those would be a fifth of an acre, and add two of those houses together, you get about 2,500 square feet. And so that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, I think there's more space than I thought. And again, once Arnold helped me think, well, an acre divided by 4 is a quarter acre, and my lot is smaller than that, I felt better about that.
I'm still showing as my hand raised, but I can't seem to lower it.
It went away. It popped up again.
Okay.
I'm not seeing your hand right now.
All right, so it's just my self view is broken.
So just, we're here together, continuing to think out loud about this. There is no minimum zone size, right? And if we decided to try this, even if no developer wanted to take advantage of it because it didn't make economic sense to them, there's nothing lost, right? So I had this thought, and because we're being recorded and maybe someone is going to watch us, I like to say again and again, I am proposing nothing. I am simply thinking out loud, trying to understand the law. Anyone listening to our recording or live, I am proposing nothing. But it occurred to me that there were rumors going around earlier that CVS was going to move into the commercial space underneath the new development on the catty corner from where CVS is now. If the CVS and the parking lot around CVS were zoned overlay for this, again, because I can't picture an acre. Picture the CVS, all the paving lot. Snappy Dogs, don't worry. I'm not saying we're doing this. Just picture that space. Is that an acre and a half?
2.25, almost, just under.
2.25?
2.23 acres.
Okay. So when I think about where might the starter home zoning overlay district be, if we propose that to me, just like MBTA, is where if we do want denser housing, that makes sense. I do see the Metro West Transit, the buses. I do see the buses running up and down my road more now because there is a route from Milford all the way to the Southborough station, which when we were talking about MBTA, we were told that was coming. Is it a bad idea to consider maybe that would be a spot where there might be an overlay of 2.25 acres? We don't know all the numbers. We don't know if any developer would want to come in. We have no idea. We don't know what the planning board would say. We don't know if the planning board liked it, what town meeting would say. We are just thinking out loud here. That would allow in that area then 8 houses-ish. How does that feel? Does that feel yikes? Does that feel, oh, maybe that is a solution? What do you guys think?
A lot of the properties there are about 1/4 acre.
I don't think it doesn't fit with the neighborhood. It's my neighborhood, right? I'm right in the downtown area. So maybe sit with that. Just think on that. Drive through downtown. I'm not proposing it. I am thinking out loud together with all of us. And that reassurance again and again is because we're being recorded. But think on that. If that were an area and if a developer did think it was economically reasonable to do this, how would that feel? Suravan?
And Ted, I know you said hypothetically, but I've also heard that that rumor is not true.
Okay. Whether it is or isn't, that might be a place to consider.
Yeah.
If we like the idea, there's still so much to process about whether we like the idea. So then I guess here's my ask. I'm not asking anyone to come up with a definite answer. What I'd love to do is for our next meeting, just have, maybe it's just one more discussion and we decide, all right, well, that's interesting to think about. Let's put it away for a while. That might be another thing to consider, but we're not ready to do anything with it yet. And if that's what we decide, that's completely fine. But my ask is before our next meeting, give what Aniri sent us a look over. Most of my underlines are on, well, there's no page numbers, but 6903, starter home requirements. It's about halfway through the packet. That's where most of my underlines are to try to get a sense of what this would be, what it would look like. So if that gives you some cliff notes maybe to check out, and then maybe we could have another round of musings on this. And I would be interested, Aniri, if you do know of towns that have done it, how recent was it? Do we have any sense whether it's led to any housing? It might be too new to even know if it's worked for any town or if it's backfired for a town.
So
But that might
just
be
to,
helpful.
yeah, just to point out, this is pretty new, like just adopted in March this year. So, and we are
But
in
no one's
May.
going to know whether it works.
Yeah, so as of now, it's not adopted by surrounding towns or with the same population. But I can find out what discussion is going on or if there are any interested town, how they looking at this 40Y bylaw. And I can take opinion from our building commissioner who also brought this idea as
I can also try to reach out. Chuck
got
Joseph
some
is not the only
inquiries
realtor in
about
town.
this,
He's
so.
not the only person who might be interested one way or the other, but he has been amenable to coming to our meetings. So maybe I'll ask Chuck Joseph to give it a look and ask if he'll visit us for our next meeting to give us his thoughts on it from kind of the other side, the home builder, realtor side of it. And then we can kick it around a little more. Does that feel okay to the committee? I'm assuming that's a yes. Okay. Is there anything else? We can't stray too far from our agenda, but is there anything that we should have talked about that I missed? I think that's, oh, go ahead, Aniri.
I can just brief out if anybody did not watch the town meeting.
Oh, sure, please do.
Yeah, approved MBTA zoning bylaw. We do have deadline till end of this month. Once I'm going to receive letter from town clerk, I will send the packet to state and meet our timeline. And the other bylaw which we discussed was the payment in lieu that also got approved during
Yeah.
town meeting. There was a lot of discussion going on that bylaw. Some of the residents maybe misunderstood, like in the first place, but it got adopted, approved basically. So, yeah.
And I would add, I know Matthew was there, and I think I saw you there, Sravan, at town meeting. But if you weren't there, they both got approved ultimately pretty easily. There was not much. It was not a close vote. And I agree with you. The affordable housing payment in lieu. I think that there were a number of people who were kind of where I was when we first started looking at it and hadn't kind of fully processed how it worked. I thought about getting up to help, but in the end, I felt like enough people explained it well enough that I could stay in my seat. But yeah, they were both approved pretty easily. Happily, with MBTA, there was no real pushback of any kind that was concerning. So that was good. And while we're here, I just want to thank Matthew for stepping up near the end of the meeting to explain a couple of the planning stuff that came up. It was good that you were there. Can we have a look at the calendar? What I will say for me is my life is unbelievably busy until the middle of June at this point. And for myself, and we don't have a vice chair right now. I would love to not hold another meeting until at the earliest, and I don't know what day on the calendar it is. Well, actually, I think June 15th is a Monday because I have something on June 13th. So I'm pretty confident that's a Saturday. So I would love to do nothing any earlier than June 15th.
There's a planning board meeting that day.
Yeah.
Okay. Today's Wednesday. What about June 17th?
June 17th. We can do that.
How does the room feel about June 17th?
Is that a Wednesday?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
a Wednesday, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, Board of Appeals meets on Wednesdays. I don't think they have anything scheduled then, but
Okay.
Oh, yes.
it's a potential.
All right. Well, maybe we do this. If Board of Appeal is not scheduled right now, we'll throw out 17th. But maybe Aniri, you could also try another email poll and see what people say. Have you gotten responses to that? Have you gotten?
The people who are here.
Those are the only ones who replied to the email?
Yeah, and Steve emailed me. He's out of country, but he said if he can, he will try.
Okay.
But yeah, and just to say on the Board of Appeal, as of now, I'm seeing that is scheduled for June 10, Wednesday. But I actually don't know the actual schedule of Board of Appeals. But as of now, I can see it's on June 10th. So if board wants, we can keep June 17 as an option. And once we are closer, if they're scheduling on June 17, I will send
make
out
a move.
email. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do the four of you feel comfortable with that plan? Excellent.
So, or June 22nd. If there's the zoning
Right,
board on June 17, we can do June 22nd. That's the Monday.
That sounds great. At least that sounds great to me, and I'm not seeing anyone pulling their hair out. Okay, so my only ask for those who are here, and thank you for being here, is give that starter home zoning district a look, give it a think. I will try to reach out to Chuck Joseph once we maybe I'll even try earlier to see what dates work for him, if any, and if he'd be willing to talk to us about it. Yeah, I guess that's it. And then, Aniri, you've got your various little Zach homework assignments. Great. Can we get a motion and then follow that with a second to adjourn our meeting?
So moved.
Motion to second.
That's great. That means it's time for a roll call vote. I guess I can just look at the screen and do it. Matthew?
Yes.
Sravan?
Yes.
Arnie?
Yes.
Khwaja?
Yes.
And Ted Barker Hook is the yes. Thank you, everybody, for keeping our meetings going. We just barely hit quorum, but we did, and we're slowly moving the ball forward. Thank you, Aneri, for helping us and your patience with us.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful
Good night,
day.
everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Night.